Today, I am officially starting my first movie reaction of 2026, and according to the poll, you all chose The Kingdom of Heaven. And I was very surprised about this decision that a lot of my subscribers picked, because for those of you who might be new to the channel, hi, I'm EDJ Reacts, and I react to mainly history-based content, think epic history and whatnot. And so I have people usually who stick around watching who are history buffs, I'd like to say, and I would figure they would want a movie that's more historically accurate, but no, the majority of you wanted this, which, it's a Ridley Scott movie, which even the best ones aren't known for their historical accuracy. Um, but either way, well, that's what everyone wanted. So I'll say I'm no stranger to Ridley Scott in this channel. I've often brought his name up, mainly not in the best light, and only mainly because of the Napoleon movie, which, let's be frank, aside from just not being a historically accurate, just was kind of not really that good, in all honesty. So, but I will say though, despite how much I kind of like rag on him because of that, he is a legendary filmmaker and he's created a lot of great movies, and this one's surprisingly considered one of his best. Now, when the original theatrical run of the film was a failure and many people were like, oh, awful movie, and just write it off, but there's interesting discourse because the director's cut, which is the 3 hour 9 minute version that I am watching, at least I think this is the director's cut, I could be completely, I don't know, bro. If the director's cut is somehow longer than this, I'd be surprised. But I'm pretty sure I'm in the right track. My point is, apparently the director's cut just turns what is a crap movie into a superb movie, into S tier, apparently. And yeah, that's mainly what I hear. It's like, nah, dude, you only have to watch a director's cut. Like, that's the only version of the movie worth watching. And I'm like, alright, you've won me over. So, watch the director's cut we shall. And, I'm not completely a stranger to this film. Like, I watched throughout the last many years, there have been memes about this movie, mainly with Baldwin. There have been a lot of YouTube clips I've seen offhandedly, mainly a lot of years ago, of YouTube clips like Jerusalem's Arrival, and Saladin, and whatnot. And I even watched a History Buffs video a long time ago when he reviewed and broke down this movie and some of its historical inaccuracies. So point is, I will know certain plot points and stuff, but I've never sat down and actually watched the movie. It's more offhanded stuff I've seen from other places, like I just mentioned. So I'm not technically completely blind to this, though this is going to be my first time sitting down and actually looking at the whole thing in its entirety. And yeah, like I said, I'm not, I'm about to say an opinion that I'm not sure how some of you sticklers for history are gonna take, but I personally don't need a movie to be historically accurate for it to be good. Technically, I think a movie can be great even if it's not historically accurate. I think there are points where the two, I mean, ideally you would want it to be, but I think a movie can be good even if it's not historically accurate, and I've heard this movie is fantastic, and still it's not accurate, but then again, um, it's fine. I'm not gonna come in here breaking things down and looking for historical accuracy. I'm just looking for a good time and a good movie. So that's kind of the approach I'm taking. And again, when I talk about some of the discourse, I might bring up like some of the historical stuff, but that's not I'm not gonna rag the film for it. Mainly just like fun trivia stuff. And when I do analyze, if I get into analysis mode and start talking about the characters, I just want to say that I'm talking about the movie's portrayal of characters, not the actual historical people that these that are being depicted in this movie by Ridley Scott, who no doubt takes liberties. So I just want to say I'm talking about their portrayal in the movie, not the actual Baldwin or Saladin or point is you'll get what I mean. And yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. Now with that said, and now without any further ado, let's do it. Oh, but first, if you want to watch my channel, I mean, if you enjoy my channel and you want to help me out in any way, shape, or form, feel free to please like, comment, subscribe, and maybe consider becoming a Patreon member. It's only for $1 a month. You get early access to stuff, and, it would really help me out, especially in this, time that I'm in. So with that said, and now without any further ado, let's do. It is almost 100 years since the Christian armies from Europe seized Jerusalem. Europe suffers in the grip of repression and poverty. Peasants and lord alike flee to the Holy Land in search of fortune or salvation. One knight returns home in search of his son. I have to say, I'm surprised this is like the only Crusader film to be like relevant. Like, I'm sure there are probably other movies about the Crusades, but like, to be honest, I feel like no one talks about them. This is like the only one that is still kind of in the cultural zeitgeist and that people know and talk about, even if it is just through memes and stuff. It feels like the only Crusader movie that's like relevant, which is a shame, because if you know anything about the First Crusade and the insanity that happened, you could honestly make like a black comedy from just the First Crusade alone. Like, it would honestly be the most insane crap you've ever seen. A complete crap show, but I always thought that'd be a funny thing to put.
He's denied the cross for suicide. Man buried at the center of a crossroads.
Suicide? Oh, Liam Neeson, that's so cool. Again, it's so weird to be like, sometimes like when I watch these movie reactions and then I see like actors that I know and stuff, it's like, oh hey, there you are. It's kind of like a weird shock, because I normally don't get to talk about like modern people, and because I'm always like watching history videos, so it's really cool to see that.
You've forgotten. She was your brother's wife.
She was a suicide. Cut off her head. And return the axe.
Oh boy.
Your brother? You have spoken to him?
On what matter, my lord? He is still arrested.
Yet you did not mutilate the person.
No.
A law can go too far. It can go too far, I ask myself. Would Jesus do it thusly? There is so much done in Christendom of which Christ would be incapable. You must release your brother. I cannot do without him.
My brother.
Oh, that's interesting. It's funny, like, I think there's probably gonna be, a lot of discourse about Christianity. I kind of like that line in regards to, yeah, there's a lot of things Christians have done that Christ would kind of look at, and, the whole thing is that, a lot of people, when just wanting to just write off Christianity as evil or whatnot, probably, I've heard oftentimes kind of cite the Crusades, like, well, look at the Crusades, look at what the Christians did, Christianity's evil and whatnot. And, as someone who's kind of learned and seen the Crusades from the first, the second, the third, the fourth, yeah, I've seen reacted to them all, and yeah, there's a lot of times you can point at people who are Christians who were quite frankly awful awful people, and again, I think you could do the same for literally any religion, though, if you put it under a magnifying glass. I don't think, for those of you who may or may not know, I myself am a Christian. I'm a firm believer in Christ. I go to church, I worship, I read my Bible, I pray, I fast, I do that, and my faith is a big part of me, and it's really, I try not to show it on this channel or on camera much, but it actually plays a major part in how I think, how I operate, my ethics and my morality. And I think that if you look like at any religion, you could do the same for Islam, for example, or any others. You could find a lot of people who whose foundation in religion, I don't think it nullifies the foundation. I don't think the bad things that humans have done nullifies what Christ and his teachings were. And Christ had a lot of teachings which most, even I think secular people would agree in regards to like the golden rule, for example. Everyone agrees with the golden rule, and literally Jesus in the Bible said, do unto others what you would have them do unto you and stuff. And so I think the foundation is fine, and I think it's a little wrong to just kind of like write off something because of the bad deeds of others, or people who profess, because yeah, there are people who've claimed to worship something who have done bad things. And again, it's not just a Christianity thing, it's a religion thing. And after watching so many history videos, yeah, you could point at people who did, and then you can point at plenty of good people who've done great things and charitable, kind, who profess to follow Christ. At the end, it's more of an individual thing than an overall stuff. And I think the Crusades is a bad example, because the Crusades, while I know it's framed in the context of a religious thing, it goes kind of past that at certain points, because yes, that's kind of the backbone. That's kind of what gets the car starting, as if you were. But a lot of the times, that's not really like at the forefront of. This is a time where politics and religion kind of mold together, and then you see like kind of the political thing take over the spiritual stuff. For the lowly knight or peasant traveling, it's all spiritual. This is, we need to get to the Holy Land, we need to find Christ, we need to do this for Jesus. But when we watch these videos and then we see the people who are higher up, like the kings or the leaders who are leading the crusade, a lot of the time their mind is less on the spiritual side. Not to say that that couldn't be a part of their motivation, but I've noticed that it's more of, okay, what do we gain? We want to gain land, we want to establish these crusader states, we want to do this. Like, they're still kings at the end of the day, they still want to expand their realms. That's a large part of the First Crusade and how they even formed the Crusader kingdoms. We kind of want land, we want to establish our place, because maybe in Europe we couldn't. And point is, the secular side of it kind of takes over. And so I think it's a real complex thing that you can't really take out the political machinations and ambitions, especially from the big names of the Crusades, because they're still at the end, in a sense, playing that political game, the game of kingdoms and stuff, and managing all that. And also, you'll find plenty of videos that'll look into stuff like, videos why the Crusades were justified, between Christian pilgrims being attacked, and then you'll find videos, you could find plenty of videos saying the Crusades weren't. It's a complex issue that goes beyond just religion. I know that's the main framing, like I said, but if you actually look more into it, it goes way deeper than just religion. It's a lot of politics, secular governments, and it's a complex issue that's more gray than black and white that we would like to think. And I would say that if you really look into the Crusades, it's more gray. You could find good and bad on both sides if you look hard enough. So that's always kind of like, I never thought it was a good example to just use the Crusades as stuff. And I'm not sure if really Scott's gonna go what way he's gonna go with it. He's gonna go full on Christians suck, but I would be disappointed if he did, because I think this is a much more gray and nuanced affair than it is just Christians are evil, or Muslims are evil, or just Muslims are good, or just Christians are good. Like I said, it comes down to individuals and the choices people make, regardless. I think if someone breaks the law, it doesn't nullify the law itself. It's just that person is made their own decisions, and we could write them off as a bad or good person. I think religion can play a large part in that, like secular law. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on the matter. I think it's definitely more complicated and nuanced than I think most people would care to actually look into.
And give him this. And tell him that he is at the very center of my prayers.
Yeah, this bird was kind of a weasel, huh? I'm like letting it play out, but he's giving me like weasel vibes for sure. Oh, she was pregnant too. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, so that's Orlando Bloom, who I actually had a weird fascination with his career like 11 years ago. Like, I was watching Lord of the Rings. I was a big fan of the movie Troy, because I was like big into like Greek mythology era, and it's one of the only big budget Iliad adaptations. Granted, it's not really a good adaptation of the Iliad, but point is, I still watched it. And, Troy and stuff, like, early 2000s was kind of like the peak of his career. Lord of the Rings, Troy, Kingdom of Heaven. It's so weird to see him, considering I had such a weird fascination with him a long time ago.
What of Jerusalem?
Jerusalem? In peril, my lord, as always.
We have stood there against the Saracens for over 100 years.
Saracens, as you call them, have now unified in Egypt, Syria, and all Arabia. Saracens and someone new.
Saladin, their king.
Faradin.
Which son of the blacksmith of my time is the blacksmith now? Balian, the eldest. His child died. His wife fell into a melancholy. She would not listen to reason. She killed herself.
Oh, that sucks. I thought she died or took her own life while pregnant. I was about to be like, oh, that's awful. I mean, it's still awful either way, like miscarriage and immediately lose your wife. Holy crap. If I'm remembering correctly, the interesting thing... Wait, never mind. I'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Her grave was here. Or was it there? I'm afraid I can't tell you the exact location. I wasn't present at the burial. Call me.
WTF? Whoa.
You always turn the other cheek. I think that you conceive yourself without sin. That is a sin!
Yeah, so I was gonna kind of wait to speak my thoughts, but holy crap, yeah, it seems, keep using the word brother, I'm not sure if, like, biological or not, but yeah, either way, like, what a, like, jerk. I got the impression with the whole, okay, chop off her head, or, and also stealing that, her cross from her neck. Again, at first I was like, oh, maybe, like, religious zealotry, maybe, yeah, he's like, okay, suicide, that's a sin, so he doesn't deserve this. Like, I maybe read it at that at first, but now I'm kind of rereading a lot of his earlier actions. No, I'm starting to think he's just a jerk. I mean, maybe religious, superiority, I guess, maybe playing a part, but also I'm just getting a vibe he maybe is just a bad person.
Your dead wife and stillborn child are today the subject of my prayers. We need all these horses shod, we need food, and we'll pay. Says yes.
He has made war machines that cast the largest stones. He also works fine.
Yeah, I think yeah, this guy's trying to sell him because he wants more money. I'm not sure, like, I kind of, like, from the taking of the cross from the corpse, I get the impression that maybe he's, in addition to kind of being a very big jerk, maybe a bit money hungry, and so he's like, okay, all these knights are here, let me get this guy to work now, and maybe we can like make something off it. Maybe he's hoping for a lot more material gain, as it were, you know?
Your journey worth more alive than dead.
Shut up. Some say Jerusalem is the very center of the world for asking forgiveness. For myself, I call it here. Now, I knew your namesake. I knew your mother.
It's because I am your
I
father.
should say that it was a forgiveness to ask of you.
Dude, talk about emotional whiplash, like literally losing your kid, your wife, and then your dad, who like went out to go fight Crusade like 20 years ago, shows back up. Yeah, just the I'm not sure how I would react, man. It kind of reminds me, like, I never, well, yeah, I never really knew my dad. He kind of bailed when I was born, and then like he would kind of reach out to me every few years, like show up randomly, talk to me for a bit, and then disappear and for another few years, and then, you know, like, I don't know, it's definitely just kind of reminding me of my own father. It was like that the majority of my life. He just wasn't around. He never did anything for me. He would just randomly show up. I'm not sure if it was some type of guilt or I don't know, some weird game. I don't know anything about him, but yeah, he tried reaching out to me one more time about a year ago, and I cut him off permanently. Granted though, he the last time he tried reaching out to me was in 2016, and then he waited till last year to try again, but I'm already like an adult. I was like, okay, I don't like what the heck he's doing, so I just kind of cut him off and ended it. I don't know, it's like this weird, he'd show up for like a few days, ghost me again, and just, I don't know, for years. It's just a weird kind of deadbeat up father. I'm not sure whatever his motivation was, but yeah. As someone with daddy issues, this scene kind of rings very strong to me too. Oh boy.
Whoever you are, my lord, my place is here.
What made it your place is now dead.
Dang.
You'll never see me again. If you want anything of me, take it now.
I want nothing.
I am sorry for your troubles. God protect you.
Yeah, that was awkward, eh? Super awkward. Oh boy.
They would have taken you to Jerusalem. Away from all this. I arranged it.
Oh.
No man ever needed a new world more. Imagine your sin and pain erased. All.
Yeah, he does not care about him and finding peace. He's definitely, I think he's using this manipulation because he wanted him gone, apparently, so he can, I guess, seize the whatever's left. Dang, very smarmy.
If you take the crusade, you may relieve your wife's position in hell.
Oh my
I
gosh.
put it delicately. She was a suicide. She is in hell. So what she does there without a head.
Oh my gosh. Holy crap, that escalated. Honestly, very valid crash out. My gosh, holy crap. Yeah, at that point you gotta leave, right? You're a fugitive. Even if it was a very valid crash out, yeah, medieval justice, I wouldn't trust that, so yeah. Plus, you know, there's the idea of the Crusades, which I did like that dude brought up before he was killed, in that, like, the idea of absolving one from their sins, and that was a big part of the Crusades in that era. Like, okay, go on crusade, your sins gone. Like, you know, obviously very appealing to many people. And I think, like, when you see a lot of depictions of the medieval age and era, a lot of people are very spiritually, you know, what's the saying? Just very spiritual in general, I suppose. Very concerned. It kind of makes sense, because, you know, a lot of depictions of the medieval era, just everything looks miserable, everything's gray, and commoners are just in their villages, and everything kind of is bleak. Like, the tone of the medieval, a lot of times, they either go with the fantasy-esque, like, oh, this is kind of cool, or the quote-unquote more realistic, everything sucks, and so everyone's really concerned about their state in the afterlife, because, well, maybe this life sucks, but, well, hopefully God gives me a better one next one, you know, kind of mindset. So obviously very appealing, and it was a big part of getting people to move, like, yo, like, not only going to the Holy Land itself, but getting my sins cleansed, and being absolved. Like, that sounds awesome. All I need to do is go on this epic journey. Like, you can definitely see the appeal, right? Especially in a more religious world than the one we inhabit now, which is definitely not as religious. So
I've done murder.
Haven't we all?
Is it true that in Jerusalem I can erase my sins? And those of my wife? Is it true?
We can find out together. Pick it up. Let's see what you're made of.
His hand is hurt, my lord.
I once fought 2 days with an arrow through my testicle.
oh my gosh. Yeah, some good father-son bonding right there with sword training. I wish my dad had trained me in the art of the sword. I'm sorry, I'm gonna start with this dad joke stuff. But, yeah, he definitely is trying. Unlike my dad. Sure, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop.
Take a high guard, like this. The Italians call it La Posta di Falcone, the guard of the hawk. You strike from high. Like this. Do it.
Dude, I know this technique very well. I used to be before I got into my Total War Rome 2 phase of my life back this year actually, for the past, like, from 2019 all the way to 2025, I just played Mount and Blade Warband like 100 times, and, like, bro, when I would two-hand stuff, like, woof, woof, bro, like, I know all about this technique. I'm kind of a master of it myself, but, you know, I actually do prefer one-handed sword, one shield in most games, because I like the defense and offense, but when I do play two-handed, I often use that. So, you know. Yeah. Oh! Okay, holy crap.
Uncle,
Nephew.
you have with you a man, Balian, who killed a priest, his brother. I'm charged by both my father and the Lord Bishop to bring him back.
I say he's innocent of the charge. If you say he's guilty, then we'll fight. And God will decide the truth of it.
My German friend is a close student of the law.
So it sounds like Trial by Combat, which I wanted to bring up that reference because this dude is known Jamie Lannister. But yeah, I'm not familiar with medieval law, to be honest. I'm not an expert on it, but could you really just do a trial by combat? Like, well, if I'm guilty, can I fight my way out? Because I feel like that's such a loophole that if you're like any bit decent, I mean, it depends who you're fighting, but I feel like why wouldn't most people try to go for that? Because if I'm aware of at least one thing, is that the medieval era is kind of infamous for its punishments, you know, executions, beheadings, hangings, torture, most of all. I feel like why wouldn't anyone just try to fight, right? Like, if I die fighting, at least it's better than the other methods, right? Again, I know this is a movie, and some stuff will probably not be accurate, but it does make me think, like, if trial by combat was ever an actual thing. And how, if one could get away with murder, especially, you know, if it were easier. Think about it, wouldn't it theoretically be easier to kill people back then? Because like nowadays we have like forensic, right? Like there's cameras everywhere. I feel like if you try to kill someone, and also you have like a digital footprint, there are IDs, bank accounts, phone tracking phone. Like I feel like nowadays it'd be hard to kill and get away, but like back then in the medieval era, right? Like you could like be a traveling serial killer and probably get away with it more easy. I don't know, that's just a thought. Oh boy. How is he still alive? He got shot through the neck. It's literally on the other hand. How is he still moving? I guess Germans are just built different.
Thank my brother for his love.
Oh my gosh.
If the ribs are broken, the marrow may enter the blood. In which case you'll take a fever and die. Or a cyst will form, and you'll live.
They had the right to take me.
So do I.
W, Dad.
Kill an infidel, the Pope has said, is not murder. It is the path to heaven.
Yeah, there's that idea of religious extreme. I mean, I guess we call it extremism nowadays, but like that zealotry that kind of the Crusade era is known for, you know, like kill the infidels. And even like Saladin, who most people, like even his enemies loved Saladin, but yeah, there was a propaganda essentially like it's okay to, you know, hate him or like kill the followers of Islam. And kind of you could see on the other hand also with Islam, right, the jihad is what they would call them, the holy wars, and you know, the ideas of villainizing the others as, or demonizing rather, in some ways, it's a big product. So I do kind of like that, those aspects showing up in this film.
Who is this? My son. Would I have fought you when you were still capable of making bastards? I knew your mother when she was making hers. Fortunately, you're too old to be one of mine. You know what lies in Holy Land. A new world. A man who in France had not a house is in the Holy Land the master of a city. He who was the master of a city begs in the gutter. There, at the end of the world, you are not what you were born, but what you have it in yourself to be.
I hope to find forgiveness. That's all I know.
A kingdom of conscience. A kingdom of heaven. There peace between Christian and Muslim. We live together. Or between Salah ad-Din and the king we try.
When the king is dead, Jerusalem will be no place for friends of Muslims or traitors to Christendom, like your father. I am Guy de Lusignan. Remember that name.
So yeah, Guy. I do know of the historical Guy. He was actually the last king of Jerusalem before it was seized by the, Saladin. And yeah, I did yeah, I watched videos in the past about the Third Crusade on this channel, and I think the big one is the Battle of Hattin. Point is, it's like Saladin's like great triumph over the kingdom of Jerusalem, and Guy was actually captured by Saladin in that final battle. I think he was allowed to go to Cyprus after and kind of go there near the end of his life, even after Jerusalem had fell, but yeah, overall was the last king of Jerusalem. And I can't fully I remember that he was kind of brash and not really obviously that great of a king, especially in regards to kind of overseeing the official end of the kingdom of Jerusalem, and the Battle of Hattin and what happened in that whole situation. But yeah, I'm not sure about his character though, how historically it was, if he was really this kind of a jerk. But yeah, he definitely is villainous already, right? And antagonistic.
Be without fear in the face of your enemies. Be brave and upright, that God may love thee. Speak the truth, always, even if it leads to your death. Safeguard the helpless and do no wrong. That is your oath. And that's how you remember it.
That caught me off guard.
Are you sorry for all your sins?
For all but one.
That's sad. This guy's just losing everybody, huh? Wife, kid, his dad that he barely reunited with. just he keeps losing everything. It's actually super sad, but cool he got legitimized in that regard. I feel like in the medieval era, especially like the idea of bastards. I mean, granted, premarital sex, a sin and whatnot. But that the idea of the bastard kind of being the social outcast is a big depiction of them. I think it got really bigger on like the Game of Thrones series, where bastards are basically treated like second-class citizens or like spawns of the devil. I don't know. I haven't looked too deep into it, how like the popular, how historically accurate the idea of hating bastards is. Though I've kind of like heard that's probably way more exaggerated. I mean, I guess I'm not sure if it depends where and when in the world and on the culture and whatnot, but I've heard sometimes it's probably a bit more exaggerated that everyone was this hostile towards bastards. I don't know. I say that because I'm also a bastard. My parents were never married, and yeah, they only dated in high school and then broke up. Especially after I was born, my dad just like left. He was like, I don't want to raise this guy, so yeah, he just bailed. So he Bailioned, so yeah, I don't know. Like the whole bastard thing is interesting because I'm one. And funnily enough, I don't know many bastards around where I'm at. Like, it's funny, like, I don't know many bastards. Like, all the friends I've ever had and people I talk to all have parents who were married and together, so like I sometimes feel left out in the world because I rarely meet anyone who is a bastard like me here in California, which is wild. You'd think I would run into some more.
You sail now for Jerusalem as your father wished. I'll follow within the week. And the voyage is perilous. If God has purpose for you there, he'll keep you safe in his hands. If not, God bless you.
You know, as someone afraid of the ocean, that's like terrifying to me. I've been on a ship once in my life. I went to Greece last May, and it was, quite frankly, we travel by plane. Granted, I'm afraid of planes and heights too, but we went on a ship once from one island to the other. The trip was like 50 minutes long, an hour to travel from one island to another. It was one of those big ships, and like me and my mom were struggling. So like, I ended up sitting down like this, stiff, and closing my eyes because I was afraid I was about to throw up. I was gonna get seasick, and then she did get seasick. So I'm like, yeah, we're not built for ships. So, and that's like with modern technology. Like back then, just the ship's dead, like, oh boy. And like the ocean, like you see those videos where like a ship in storm and then like the waves are all over the place. It's terrifying. The ocean terrifies me, which is why you know, I don't really want to be on ships and stuff. Oh my gosh. Oh heck no, bro. Oh heck no. Yeah, no. Yeah, the idea of shipwrecks, oh heck no, bro. I'm not getting on any ship. Dang. Dude, that horse has to be traumatized as well, because it's the only other thing that survived this shipwreck. Holy crap.
He says that is his horse. Why would it be his horse? Because it is on his land. I took this horse from the sea. He says, you are a great liar. And he will fight you because you are a liar.
Cowabunga it is.
You're taking it very well that I have killed your master. It was the end of his time. All is as God wills it.
Dang. So many people in this movie are so accepting of death, it's so crazy to me. Like, well, oh well.
Take me to Jerusalem.
Wow. Yeah, what a unique time in Jerusalem's history, right? Where these Europeans were the kings and masters of Jerusalem and basically ruled it. Well, not basically, yeah, they were, you know, they ruled it, and just like, I've been very fascinated by the Crusader states, and, you know, it's such a unique time in the Middle East, yeah, where the all these European nations kind of formed and built their own little kingdoms and duchies and counties there, and just yeah, like one interesting fact, if I'm remembering correctly, is that a lot of the Crusader states were very reliant on European manpower and supplies, which was always weird to me. I'm like, you know, having to rely a lot on Europe sending, you know, supplies and manpower instead of like, and granted, a lot of the Crusader states were very small, though. In fact, especially by the time of the Second Crusade, which I think has wrapped up by this time, because it starts shortly before the Third. The Second Crusade, Jerusalem essentially of all the Crusader states became the more powerful one. Antioch became very crippled due to the Battle of the Field of Blood, which basically broke their military strength. They never recovered. The county, I believe, of Edessa was actually taken and lost. So even shortly before that, Jerusalem was the main Crusader state, and it's the one that they all rallied around. Mainly King Baldwin, not the Leper King who was in this movie, but the previous Baldwins, who were kind of the de facto ruler of the Crusader states, and they would all rally around the king and fight off whatever threats came from the east. So a big part of why they fell is because shortly during the time of the Second Crusade, they kind of lost. I think it was Baldwin II. He was kind of the central figure of the Crusader states. They would all rally behind him. He would lead them to victories against, powers of the east like Damascus and whatnot. And after him, the Crusader states didn't really have a central figure they would rally around themselves, and then came like the loss of like Edessa around that time. So the Crusader states kind of fractured and became less unified, and that's actually when you see a lot of their fall happened. And you can see that during the time of the Second Crusade, just the fall, and eventually, yeah, the Kingdom of Jerusalem's like kind of like the last of the Crusader states that sticks around, and it's around this time that Saladin captures it and kind of puts an end to that. So it definitely meant to depict the final moments.
Take the horse. And be about your business.
This is your prize of battle. I'm your prisoner, your slave, should you wish it.
I have been a slave, or very near to one. I will never keep one nor suffer any to be kept. Go.
Dang, how progressive. He looks mighty broken, like what? What a nice guy.
Your quality will be known among your enemies before ever you meet them, my friend.
Part of me would want to go to Jerusalem, but like again, like I'm kind of afraid of the Middle East and Central Asia. It's kind of sad because a lot of it is kind of now known for the wars and stuff, and when you think of the Middle East, especially here in America, you don't get the best image in your head. You get like the image of religious extremism, terrorism, bombs, war, and it is sad because for all of, and especially now, I guess like the war with Iran, America's, there, and Afghanistan, and the whole stuff. And it is sad because for so much of its history in these places, they were pretty there. I mean, granted, there's always been wars everywhere in the world, but for a lot of that's more of a modern thing, especially like the image we have now. For a lot of points in history, it was actually pretty chill sometimes to be around there. So yeah, I guess like nowadays I wouldn't want to go anywhere like near Central Asia or the Middle East, but due to a lot of the issues going on there. But like in an earlier time, even maybe just like a few centuries ago, it may not have been such a bad option actually. So I don't know. It's a bit sad because like a lot of these places are so culturally rich and just beautiful. Like Jerusalem itself, a big target of so many different regime changes and many empires and kingdoms establishing themselves there and groups of people. It would be such a beautiful place to like look at. You know what I mean?
Go. What is it you want of me?
Boy, I've asked that question so many times myself.
Come with us, my lord.
Give me the tower. Give me the tower.
You can tell he's definitely a bit of a fish out of water. He's not used to the luxury, I guess, of being suddenly going from what, like a humble blacksmith to suddenly being like, yeah, nobility. I will say I've been saying this for a bit, but I do remember it was from the History Buffs video. Like I said, I watched it, but it was a long time ago, many years ago. But if memory serves, is that Balian is a real person, like in history. This isn't like a fictional character that Ridley Scott concocted. It's actually based off of a real guy who was a knight at Jerusalem. I believe the story of, this whole story of being a blacksmith and the whole fodder thing is completely fictional. But I understand why Ridley Scott did it. In movies, you kind of need what they call an audience surrogate. You know, someone who it's practical, because he wants, obviously I don't think everyone who walks into these movies are experts in the freaking Crusade era of history. You know, so you kind of need like a person to kind of be a fish out of water, so people can be like, can kind of learn along with the character. Okay, how are things in Jerusalem? How are things run? Like, who are these other real historical people? And it's kind of harder to do that with someone who's already been in Jerusalem their entire lives. Like, you kind of expect to know, so they wouldn't ask these questions, and we wouldn't really be introduced to certain people the same way because they would already know each other. So I understand like the whole audience surrogate fish out of water thing. So he took a fictional character, and I mean, he took a real historical person and kind of created this fictional narrative around them to help serve as the audience surrogate. So that's how I think history buffs put it. I could be wrong, but yeah, I do know at least Balian was a real person, or at least based off a real person.
Give me some water.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie with you guys, like, Eva Green, I had a crush on her. I had such a crush on her when I was younger. Oh boy, I'm like all nervous now about it. I'm all like, kind of like cringing about it, but yeah, like, kind of like I used to have a type, and like, she kind of fits it. I mean, I don't know. She still is stunning though, like, honestly.
If you happen to see Balian, the son of Godfrey, tell him that Sibylla calls.
Of course I know him, he's me.
God does not speak to me. I am outside God's grace. It seems I've lost my religion.
I put no stock in religion. By the word religion, I've seen the lunacy of fanatics of every denomination be called the will of God. I've seen too much religion in the eyes of too many murderers. Holiness is in right action and courage on behalf of those who cannot defend themselves. And goodness. What God desires is here and here. And what you decide to do every day, you will be a good man. Or not.
As someone who's also had like crisis of faith, where at times, especially the last few years, like my life since 2022 has kind of not been great. Going through a lot. So even nowadays, unfortunately, I've had very seldom peace, and these have definitely, I've dubbed the last since 2022 to now, I call it my little dark age, because it's been the roughest years of my life. And I've also faced a lot of religious or spiritual crisis. I know I keep using the word religion, but it's funny he mentions that, because like even me and, you know, the church I go to, I'm a Pentecostal, apostolic, oneness believing Christian. And, you know, sometimes we often say at church, we're not religious. Religious kind of becomes a tradition or just something you do. We prefer to say we're spiritual, and that's how we, you know, address it. We're not religious, we're spiritual, and that's how we view it. And so it's like his little quote there to Balian is something even like kind of like what my pastor has said to me at times. And yeah, like the whole crisis of faith and not knowing and kind of being silent, because there are times I've been like these last few years, even now recently, I've been going through stuff, and I'm like, you know, God, where are you? And it's like that feeling of no one's listening or no one's there, and you know, I still keep my faith strong, but yeah, I can relate a lot to Balian's character, is that he's looking for forgiveness. He's seeking something more than the material world. And you know, he's gone essentially from the bottom to the top, and in a lot of ways of, you know, becoming nobility, getting a lot more privilege, yet he doesn't care for that. He's comes across as, yeah, a man in it for that spiritual thing. Like he's lost what he cares most about in his family, and now he's looking for God and trying to find that connection, that forgiveness, that peace that I don't know how to describe, but that even I have felt when I first started and found my following, in Christ. So his struggle is very relatable to me, and even in my current bleak situation in life. So I don't know. I kind of like that. I like that scene a lot. So far, one that has resonated with me.
So they are dying for what the Pope would command them to do.
Yes. But not Christ, I think. Nor this king.
Yeah, I did notice that aspect Ridley Scott's taking is that, he is kind of separating what I talked about earlier, like the actions of people from Christ. Like, again, like I said, the teachings of Christ are, I think, beautiful, and there's a lot that even secular people agree with, like the golden rule I mentioned earlier, being forgiving, and so much ideas that Christ spoke that I think are completely valid and true. And like the act, I don't think they should be undone, because some people who claim to be religious or followers but still do bad things, that at the end, that's more of an individual person kind of thing, I think. But again, it does kind of have the unfortunate effect of kind of more people who are more outside would just dub all Christians like that. Which is a shame, because there are, as with any place in the world, any group, good and bad, it's a human nature, varies from person to person kind of thing. And yeah, I know it's Ridley Scott kind of is giving this commentary on it, and especially like, well, there's Jesus's way of doing things, and then there's these guys who claim, these people, like the whole quote earlier, like, what did he say? Well, point is, like, Jesus wouldn't approve of what some Christians are doing, and that's very valid. Like, yeah, again, like I said, especially in the Crusades, you can find some Crusaders who weren't the most Christ-like people. So again, there's that separation I think he keeps trying to establish. Like, I do kind of like, instead of just being like, yeah, us Christians, we all kind of suck. I feel like, at least with that regard, he's kind of adding a bit more nuance, or trying to show, it's like, yeah, some people, regardless of what they claim to follow or not, can be bad, like, So I kind of do like he's bringing that, because I wasn't sure if it's going to go full Christian bashing completely. I mean, I don't know, we'll see the rest of the movie, but I do kind of add, I feel like that nuance, I'm kind of glad he's so far bringing,
Who says I raid?
That witness, all of Jerusalem, holy God, and me. There will come a day, Reynald de Chatillon, when you are not protected by your title. Those Templars have been hung for a raid that I know you commanded. Prove it. I will wait at Karak. It's true. You're your father's son. He was my friend. I'm yours. What did your father tell you of your obligations?
That I was to be a good knight.
I pray the world and Jerusalem can accommodate such a rarity as a perfect knight.
You sit at my table.
Is it not the king's table?
Is it? I have not seen a king at it for some years. I cannot eat. I am finicky about company. My wife does not lament at my absence. That is either the best of wives or the very, very worst.
Such a jerk, I love.
The king would see Godfrey's son.
I'll take him.
I'm sure you will.
I loved your father. And I shall love you.
I'm sure you will.
I'm glad to meet Godfrey's son.
Dude, this is Baldwin. I've actually been waiting for Baldwin to show up. I kind of want to talk a lot about Baldwin.
He was one of my greatest teachers. He was there when, playing with the other boys, my arm was cut. And it was he, not my father's physicians, who noticed that I felt no pain. That I am a leper.
So, I want to talk about this guy for a bit. I have to say, like, Ridley Scott went all out with Baldwin, didn't he? Like, I feel like Baldwin kind of got pushed into, like, very popular, especially through memes. Like, you see through memes and edits of Baldwin and his scenes of Kingdom and Heaven and why he's so based and awesome, and rightfully so. Like, the real Baldwin is just a Chad, but I like Ridley Scott really gave him the Aurelian treatment. Like, if you play Total War Rome 2, which is a game that I'm currently playing and that I really love, I'm addicted to it. You know, like Emperor Aurelian is depicted with the sun mask. Wait. Yeah, and this is like you see through the memes and stuff that he's depicted like this because Total War gave him this depiction of wearing this epic mask, and it's like shaped like the sun, and then he became really popular. Even though in real life he never wore that. Real life he didn't wear that. But it's still like so much aura that people kind of prefer it, and it's the same with Baldwin. Funny enough, like if you read text when they're talking about Baldwin depicting him, he's actually said to have worn a veil, not a mask. He's never in any account that I've read depicted wearing a mask like this. He at most wore a veil. Think of like Moses after he descended down from the mountain and his face started glowing. It was said in the Bible he always wore a veil after that because his face was shining and it kind of scared people. So, kind of like that. But like again, like Aurelian, he got the Aurelian treatment. Ridley Scott gave him a mask, and he's usually depicted as the mask version of himself from Kingdom of Heaven. Still though, it's really nice how Ridley Scott went all out and really made like a character like him, who's very underrated in history, so cool, and have so much aura. It's a shame he didn't do the same for Napoleon, but, you know, well, I guess you can't win them all, so. And yeah, he died. He was the Leper King, and he died really young. But he was kind of the last guy keeping Saladin in check, because after he died, Saladin kind of made his move, so you know, he was probably the last great king that Jerusalem had.
The Saracens say that this disease is God's vengeance against the vanity of our kingdom. As wretched as...
It's true though, like, I think there are some accounts I remember reading that, some people, I think on the, you know, Islamic camp thought he was cursed by God because he had leprosy, and that was seen as like a punishment from God, so he was wrong, or, you know, that God had struck him and stuff like that. So that idea ain't too far-fetched from reality.
Do you play? The whole world is in chess. Any move can be the death of you.
Honestly, I'm more of a checkers guy. I play checkers, not chess. I know it's many chess people would say, yeah, you're playing that inferior game. I know some really arrogant chess people for some reason. That's why I think I hate chess. But again, I'm more of a checkers guy. I'll play you in checkers.
Were you sure of your end once?
I was.
What was it?
To be buried 100 yards from where I was born.
And now?
Now I sit in Jerusalem and look upon a king.
When I was 16, I won a great victory. I felt in that moment I would live to be 100.
You know, they're the most famous battle, I think maybe he's talking about this battle, I'm not sure how old Baldwin was, but it's the battle that he defeated and crushed Saladin. Montsegard, I think it's called. Let me show you. Yes, so it's called the Battle of Gizzard. Again, I know I'm not pronouncing that. You're gonna have to forgive me, but it's actually one of my favorite battles. Like a lot of my YouTube videos on this channel, I look at historical YouTube videos, mainly a lot of battles, because I'm a big fan of learning of how great commanders and generals defeated people on the battlefield. I'm a big nerd for battlefield tactics and strategy, and this is one of my favorite battles I learned about as a teenager, and actually what made me aware of Baldwin and such a fan. To kind of oversimplify it, Saladin essentially overran the Christian forces, and at one point got trapped. Baldwin besieged him in a castle and a fortress, and then basically the writing was on the wall. Jerusalem was about to fall. Baldwin was trapped, and then Saladin left a force to continue besieging him whilst he went and took Jerusalem. And so Baldwin, again a leper by the way, breaks out of that fortress, takes and overwhelms the force that Saladin left, holds butt all the way to catch up to Saladin. Saladin's surprised, he's caught off guard, he's like, what the fudge? And then they get into a battle, and Baldwin crushes him, defeats him, basically annihilates his army. And Saladin, their accounts, he barely got away, and he like rode away on a camel. He was like, holy crap, I need to get away from this guy. By the way, dude was he was a leper, and there are accounts that at times he couldn't even hold his like weapons. So like there were people beside him. I think some accounts say that there were people beside him holding his like lances and shields, which is insane that this guy was on any battlefield in his condition. It really is one of the coolest battles I ever learned about. I learned about it when I was a teenager. It stuck with me since as probably in my top 5 favorite battles I ever learned about. And Baldwin, that's how I was made aware and became such a fan of Baldwin.
Now I know I shall not see 30. None of us know our end, really, or what hand will guide us there. A king may move a man. A father may claim a son. That man can also move himself. And only then does that man truly begin his own game. Remember that howsoever you are played, or by whom, your soul is in your keeping alone. Even though those who presume to play you be kings or men of power, when you stand before God, you cannot say, but I was told by others to do thus, or that virtue was not convenient at the time. This will not suffice.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that.
You know, it's funny because there are some people, it's kind of on the flip side, he uses the example at the end, like, what you do is your own decision, even if you use the convenience of, oh, I was ordered to, at the end, it is what you do. It's kind of like in the same thing where some people might argue, the devil made me do it, Satan made me do it. It's like, if you've sinned, you did it yourself. Like, you can't, you know, blame the devil for everything. And yeah, kind of on the flip side, the spiritual side of that, which is funny because some people have used that as an argument.
And then from there you will protect the pilgrim road. Safeguard in particular the Jews and the Muslims. All are welcome in Jerusalem, not only because it's expedient, but because it is right.
I do have to applaud Ridley Scott, because I think you could easily go with the Christians, all Christians kind of suck, we're all bad approach that some movies do go with. I've seen movies that do go with that approach, you know. I feel like he's captured good nuance. Like, you see bad Christians for sure, some of them are jerks, but then you have other good ones like, you know, Godfrey and Baldwin, and, you know, just I like the idea of like, yeah, it's more of a person thing than it is overall the, you know, the biblical foundation, the faith kind of thing. So I do applaud him for so far kind of showing that nuance and just showing, yeah, humans, it's really more of a human thing, you know, of how someone chooses to act, and that's on their own.
I'm on my way to Cana. I expect your hospitality.
It is given. Latif.
So awkward.
But this isn't adultery. It's washing.
Bro, is this like the old version of like a booty call? Like I know she's like on her way to Cana, but like she literally stopped at this dude's crib and is like just chilling now. This is like this feels like a classic booty call if I ever had one.
He was chosen by my mother. My first husband died before our son was born. I was only 15.
You know what's funny is that in this movie, obviously, you can tell Guy and Sibylla don't. It's not love, and Guy is just a complete butthole. But I will say, in real life, though, like just a quick little cool historical trivia for you, they actually like loved each other. There are accounts that after like Jerusalem fell, like she actually like, you know, petitioned for Guy's release after Saladin had captured him after the disastrous Battle of Hattin or Hattin, I don't know how to pronounce it, but point is, that battle in which he was captured, and you know, when they had become reunited, there are accounts that they reunited very tearfully, and overall it seems to be much more you know, loving than you would get from this. They also had several kids together, I believe, like 3 or 4. So yeah, in real life there definitely was it seems like from the accounts, actual love and affection between the two, which isn't present in the movie. I just kind of want to share a cool little historical tidbit with you there. Dude, she's so down bad for him. Oh my goodness.
I could stay here forever.
This house is yours.
Why do you think I'm here?
Booty call, I'm telling you. So yeah, this is adultery, which is a sin. Just so we, you know, keep track of the religious themes here. But in all fairness, I can't blame him, dude. I'd fold too for her. I'd fold so hard.
This caravan is armed, Reynald.
Good. No sport otherwise.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh! He looked legit insane. Rip that dude in half too. Yeah, so they're just committing crime. I mean, technically they're not at war at the moment, so I was gonna say war crimes. But you know, this is very historically accurate. If I know anything about from all the videos of war I've seen, just, you know, regular folks trying to make their way in the world are usually the ones that get murdered. Just minding their own business. Oh boy.
Reynald, with the Templars, have broken the king's pledge of peace. Saladin will come into this kingdom.
Tiberius knows more than a Christian should about Saladin's intentions.
Oh my gosh.
Must not go to war with Saladin. We do not want it, and we may not win it.
Blasphemy! There must be war.
God wills it!
Yeah, so you get these like fanatical, overly zealous crusaders, and again you gotta think of like the situation at the time. Like before Baldwin checked Saladin with that battle he had many years ago, Saladin was like on the verge of just taking Jerusalem, so it was like he pulled off a miracle stopping Saladin. But even at this point, Saladin is just way too powerful, so it is kind of insane to think they would want to go to war. If you know the real circumstances and just kind of how alone the Kingdom of Jerusalem is, especially with the fall of so many of the other basically Crusader states.
Saladin has crossed the Jordan with 200,000 men. I will lead the army.
My lord, if you travel, you'll die.
Send word to Balian to protect the villagers.
What becomes of us?
Well, she really asked, are we like official now? Oh boy.
We'll hold the Saracen cavalry until the king arrives.
So be it. We cannot attack that and leave.
Yeah, basically a suicide charge, essentially. But, yeah, incredibly noble. Because, again, I like to bring up the war videos I see. Most people usually don't care about the average, farmers, and I guess peasants is the appropriate term. In fact, most don't. Like, in war, they're usually the ones who suffer the most, get killed the most, or the victim of war crimes the most. So, yeah, Balian's, caring for them this much to rescue them is pretty noticeable if you put it if you know that. Pretty unrealistic. No, I'm joking around, but yeah, they're definitely showing that more noble side and willingness to just, all right, like, I'll die, sure, to rescue these people. Oh, yeah, no. Fudge. Dude, they're literally about to be completely enveloped, Can I style. Oh my gosh, yo. Ooh, dang, he's down.
Your quality will be known among your enemies before ever you meet them, my friend.
Wow.
You were not that man's servant. No. He was my servant.
Dang. Wow, what goes around comes around. Holy crap. Oh my gosh.
My lord Saladin, Jerusalem has come.
Jerusalem. Oh my gosh. That looks incredibly awesome. What the heck? You know, I always have to give it to Ridley Scott. There's one thing I think he always excels at is the aesthetic of his movies. I think always look good, but also just he does do a really good job at capturing scale at times, and this is like a great example. Like, yeah, you see the difference between like Balian's ragtag group and then the whole army of Jerusalem. Just wow. Honestly chilled. That's so cool. Saladin.
I pray you pull back your cavalry and leave this matter to me.
I pray you retire unharmed to Damascus. Reynald of Chatillon will be punished. I swear it. Withdraw, we will all die here.
We have terms. I will send you my physicians.
Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah, so Saladin, the man, the myth, the legend, finally has appeared. And Saladin was so honorable as a person that his enemies loved and respected him. I even think he got along really well with like the Lionheart Richard, which is just a testament of his quality of character, and you kind of see it there. Like, I'll send you my physicians. Honestly, just one of the coolest dudes in the entire Crusader era, and an enemy, like an honorable enemy to the Crusaders, and just an honorable dude all around. Like, really just cool. I will say though, as awesome as that scene was, in real life, Saladin and Baldwin never actually met in person, face to face. At least not this close. I mean, they were on like the same battlefield at times, but I don't think they ever like got this close and had a straight up conversation. So they conversed probably through like messages and other ways. So still pretty awesome scene overall. Like this is like a rule of cool. Like I don't mind so long as it's just awesome, and that was honestly just awesome, bro. So like rule of cool, in my opinion, always prevailed.
On your knees. I am Jerusalem. And you, Reynald, will give me the kiss.
Oh my gosh. Oh, bro, dude, he went for it. Like grabbing his hand and everything. Holy crap. Ooh. Oh my gosh.
I shall have to find a use for you. If God can spare you, that is.
God does not know me.
That's what I do.
Yeah, he realizes. Oh man, he's giving my wife the bedroom eyes, bro. Yeah, instantly. Oh boy.
Why did we retire? Why?
One cannot maintain a siege with the enemy behind. How many battles did God win for the Muslims before I came?
Bars.
Before God determined that I should come.
That's because we were sinful.
It is because you were unprepared.
Dang.
If you think that way, you shall not be king for long.
When I'm not king, I quake for Islam. Thank you for your visit. Thank you for your visit.
That's a polite way of telling you to F off.
You promised. You promised to return Jerusalem. Don't forget.
Alright, I really like that. Because, you know, you definitely see the inner workings of the Christians, right? The division, how some are like gung-ho about murder and some are more like peaceful, showing there is a division. And it makes sense because the Christian perspective is the one we're mostly taking in this film. But in real life, it was much the same for the exacts, for the, you know, for the other side, those who follow Islam, Saladin's camp. Like, Saladin is someone who, his greatest strength was more in administration than any other thing. And, you know, I watched videos on this channel about him, mainly from, like, extra history, and yeah, it definitely gave me a different perspective of him, because before I always kind of saw him as some, like, Alexander the Great-esque unstoppable battle commander and, you know, like, a real man of the military. But after watching that series, definitely Saladin had some really great victories. The Battle of Haddon, say no more, but sometimes those victories were the incompetence or the stupidity of some of the Christian leaders definitely played into that. And like when he battles like Richard the Lionheart, he kind of is put on the back foot because Richard the Lionheart actually knew what the heck he was doing. So again, and it made me really see that his greatest strength was at administration. He essentially united Islam in a sense, because Islam was as divided as Christianity in a lot of ways, and you know, they weren't all on the same page, and he was the man keeping it together, and often he struggled to keep it all together. And I like you see the scene, because yeah, it's not like it's easy to think, oh yeah, the Christians are just a complete mess, this is why, you know, while everyone else has it together. Not really. Like, again, here, Saladin's camp, things were kind of not as fully united as you think. He was keeping it together, but that was that was the tricky part of his entire rule, keeping everyone on the same page, and you know, he often struggled with that. And it was more like he was leading a coalition in many ways, you know? Like, there are still enough people with enough autonomy to just give him a headache, so he had to really keep some egos in check and kind of appease, so... Or else things could get bad for him, and he could end up in conflict with his fellow, people, so... I do like that they showed that, like, you know... The other side, there's division too. It's easy to forget, but that was really cool. I really love that scene.
If I do not deliver war, I have no peace.
The king of Jerusalem will die soon. When he is dead, the boy will become king of a kingdom he cannot control. The Christians will make the war you need.
Tension.
Go and prepare your people for the coronation of my nephew.
Your confession, my lord.
I shall confess to God when I see him.
Dude, Baldwin just keeps dropping bars this entire movie. Like, every line from him is just fantastic. What the fudge?
My son will be king and I his regent.
And Guy.
He's gonna be king.
Your lover has 100 knights and the love of the king. I, the largest force in the kingdom, and the support of the Templars. You need my knights, or his rule will be bloody and brief.
Oh my gosh.
If I leave the army with Guy, he will take power through my sister and make war on the Muslims. We have decided that you shall take command of the army of Jerusalem. Will you defend my nephew when he is king?
Whatever you ask.
Would you marry my sister Sibylla were she free of Guy de Lusignan?
Are we talking about assassination, Baldwin? Oh boy. Is he plotting, like, to murder Guy? Yeah, this is wild. Guy has the largest, like, it's kind of like what Guy just said. He has the largest force. So I was about to say, like, yeah, you can give him the army of Jerusalem, but if Guy still has the largest force, and they are loyal to him, plus the Templars, then I just, like, that would still be a huge problem. In fact, that would just create a straight-up civil war if Guy just decides, I'll screw it. So that's wild. Yo, the plotting. The plot is thickening, as the kids say.
And Guy?
He will be executed.
Oh, okay.
A king may move a man, you said. But the soul belongs to the man.
Yes, I did.
He's a man who insults you, hates you, kill you himself if he had the chance. But for the salvation of this kingdom, will it be so hard to marry Sibylla? Jerusalem has no need of a perfect knight.
No. It is a kingdom of conscience. Or nothing.
Who are you to refuse a king? I will have power. Without Guy or with him. Guy isn't dead at your say-so, my brothers. But it's mine. My grandfather took Jerusalem in blood. I'll keep it the same way, or any way I can. I am what I am. I offer you that. And the world. You say no.
Do you think I'm like Guy?
Dang, rejected. But it's true. The whole point is, I think he's living with it was his father who said, right, the whole conscience and the kingdom quote, and basically trying to be the most honorable I guess knight that they could ask. And again, like the game of politics, I've seen so many videos with these history videos, just like politics, and I know we all joke about it, right? Even to this day, politicians are just evil and the worst humans. But it's true. So much of politics, you can't be a nice guy. You can't be an honorable guy in politics. I think like the best fictional showcase is probably like Game of Thrones, like Ned Stark, because you're surrounded by a den of like vipers. You're in a den of vipers, and everyone will like turn on you, outplay you, use you, kill you. In a lot of these historical videos I've seen, court intrigue, backstabbing, murder, it's all there. Like, and Balian just ain't that guy. Like, you know, like I wonder like how many people nowadays would be down to just do all that. And it's kind of what you have to do. This is like an example of stuff like that, right? Like we might have to just kill him, you know. And you see, like, when he said, like, Guy would murder you if he could, it's true, though. This is just, you know, how so much of the politics of the ancient world, maybe modern world, I don't know how many politicians are murdering each other, but, but, you know, so, like I said, I watch a lot of history videos, and just so much of it is just people, like, killing each other, and all this court intrigue. I'm just like, dude, you can't be a good person. You can't be a good person and make it in politics. You're either gonna leave and just do something else, but if you're involved in this whole game, like, you kind of have to, like, if you want to survive and make it, you kind of have to just drop your morals at points and just do it. Like I said, like, Bailey and the smarter way would be like, okay, I'm in, and then just kill Guy and do it all. But again, Balian's showing he ain't built for it, and it makes sense though, because he's really not. He's not. He barely technically became nobility. He's still very much like detached from this whole world of, you know, court intrigue and, like, you know, armies and stuff. And he's kind of, in a sense, smart. Smart in a sense that he realizes, I think even he realizes he isn't built for all of it, but also it is dangerous and he's still around. Like, at that point, you just cut your losses and get out if you could. Granted, though, I don't see him doing that because Jerusalem still he thinks, you know, like, Jerusalem still needs good people, but, yeah, he's also not playing the game as it's, I guess, the game of politics, and that's very dangerous because, you know, if you won't strike first, the other side probably won't have such scruples like Guy, right? And we'll probably be like, alright, I'll take him out easy, like, yeah, so this is a very dangerous situation he's kind of in, and mainly because, you know, he's a moral, good dude, and he won't just do it, do the killing, again, like I'm saying, like, I'm thinking if I were in these situations, I'd imagine, like, with our modern sensibilities, maybe you might agree with me, or maybe you'll be like, no, dude, I'd kill him. But, like, you know, you want to hold on to your morality, you want to be a good person, you don't want, even if the other guy is a complete bastard, you don't want to, like, be responsible for murder or playing all this politics, and that's why I think, like, I wouldn't be built for it, dude. I just couldn't. Like I said, I think you have to be a sort of a bad person, or at least be incredibly morally flexible in order to survive. Because, yeah, you can't just be a pure good, 100% honest guy in, like, politics and, like, survive, you know? Like, I feel like they would, like, all those snakes would, like, chew you up and then destroy you, so, yeah, like, rough world we live in, huh?
There'll be a day when you will wish you had done a little evil to do a greater good.
And there's no morality. You know, like I said, like, it's kind of like the Ned Stark effect. Like, everyone, I think, in our modern sensibilities loves Ned Stark, right? He's good, but then you'll hear people say, no, he was dumb. Like, he made really bad decisions, and, you know, mainly because he held on to his honor very much. And again, I think, like, anyone who wants to just be like very ethical would kind of behave like Ned Stark and not go in with anything like that. There's like that quote there, like the ethics of all of it. Like, hey, are you willing to do a bad thing if it would be good? You know, it reminds me of, this is gonna sound super stupid, but like many years ago when I was a teenager and I had a group of friends, we would like hang out on Discord and play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know how this conversation got brought up, but I remember we kind of like made this ethical situation. He said, my friend R, he said he would never kill anyone, and then like I think this question came up. Okay, let's say you can kill Kim Jong-un. And if you killed him, North Korea would be free from his dictatorship, right? I know in real life, if you killed him, someone else would take control and technically wouldn't really change. But I just, in this hypothetical, you kill him, North Korea's free. All those people are free. And then he struggled to answer. He's like, oh, but I can't kill. Like, he says, I just can't kill. And it kind of reminds you of that situation, right? It's like, okay, you hold on to your morals. You know, regardless of the other guy deserves it or not, would you hold on to your morals, or would you do something you see as bad for a greater good? So I don't know. So guys, I want you all to comment, would you kill Kim Jong? Would you do a little evil for the greater good, or would you be gun-ho like Balian and my friend, my former friend R, and just not sink or break those rules you've made and you follow, you know? Let me know. I think that's a very interesting question, personally.
You must beware a popular man. Kill him.
And we see on the flip side, they don't have scruples. This isn't a moral issue for them. They're like, alright, this is self-preservation and keeping what you have, so he's gonna try to kill him. So again, man, just the cutthroat world of politics, bro. Oh I get it. Okay, so I do know that Guy does become king. Like, I'm talking about, like, real life. Him and Sibylla, you know, all that king, queen. And I know that, like, the throne technically passed to her son, which some accounts said that he was sickly, though I don't know. I don't remember. I never looked too deep into it. I don't know if he was sickly due to leprosy or something else. I don't know, like, I kind of overlooked him because I was mainly focused on Guy and Sibylla, learning about them, but, dang, if he actually had leprosy, I actually don't know that, wait. Yeah, so, this is Baldwin V, and, yeah, actually, according to Wikipedia, yeah, the sickly, but never mentions leprosy specifically. And he died of unknown causes at Acre, so make of that what you will. But, dang. Okay. Oh, but that still sucks though, holy crap.
My beautiful sister, I've missed you. So beautiful. I'm sorry I called you. Remember me as I was.
Honestly, the most emotional scene in the movie for me so far.
If my son has your knights, you have your wife.
Yeah, honestly, it makes sense she kind of made that decision, like, you know, Balian ain't down for to kill him, and then like her brother's gone, so there goes that protection. This dude will create a mess. Yeah, I guess at that point you just gotta compromise. All right, fine, let's work together. Why was every Baldwin scene the best scene in the movie? Again, I'm enjoying this entire movie so far, but I will say, but Baldwin stole every scene he was in. Like, legit, that was like the most emotional scene so far for me in the entire film, and yeah, just really well done. Dude, I'm so happy to be living in the 21st century, like, where leprosy isn't really the big crisis that it used to be, like, back then. Bro, like, don't get me wrong, I know sometimes it's fun to, like, idolize the past and be like, oh man, if I can go back in history, I'd want to go see that, but, like, overall, I am so happy to be in our modern day, only for, like, the medical knowledge, mainly, because, man, back then, like, oh boy.
Long live the king in prosperity.
Yeah, Child Kings, and I always kind of feel bad for Child Kings in history, because, man, that's usually where most people, if they're gonna pull off, like coups or intrigues, or if enemies are gonna attack you, it's usually at times, every time usually a Child King takes the throne, bad things happen in history, and it's, again, they're children, it's like, I feel bad, I'm like, ugh, they're thrust into a world that most adults can't handle, like, you know what I mean? Oh. Man, like I said, most adults can't handle politics, bro, let alone children. Oh boy.
A creosote bush. There's your Moses. I did not hear it speak.
It does not mean that there is no God. Do you love her?
Yes.
Your heart will mend. Your duty is to the people of the city. I go to pray.
For what?
For the strength to endure what is to come.
And what is to come?
The reckoning is to come for what was done 100 years before. The Muslims will never forget. No, shut up.
You know, these two have, like, some really, oh yeah, there's the fire, but these two have some really good scenes together. I guess it's that theme of religious crisis, like, you know, with Balian, I was looking in between this recording, because I'm not doing this all in one sitting, by the way. There are these, like, YouTubers called EFAP. Well, it's a group, and I think they actually did cover this film, and I saw mainly the opening, not to try to go too far ahead and see everything, but yeah, a lot of times they did kind of rag on Orlando Bloom the entire time, like, oh man, his acting is so bad, show a sign of emotion, please. I guess it's a matter of opinion, like, maybe you might be like, yeah, Orlando Bloom's kind of stiff or wooden, or his acting's bad. I kind of have a different perspective, though. Like, yeah, Balian definitely strikes me as someone who I'm oddly relating to, who I was not expecting to relate to anyone in this movie. Again, he's, like, very, like, I think the term I would use is melancholy. He kind of has this, like, aloofness and melancholy to him, and I think it's just depression. Like, again, like, like, from the beginning of the movie, it all began his journey with, you know, the death of his family, essentially. Like, he kind of lost his entire family. And then he's like, his dad shows up, he's like, cool, I have my dad, and his dad dies, and it's just, in a lot of ways, kind of alone in the world. And, you know, like, I think the aloofness, the not being too expressive, is I think it's a purposeful choice a lot, because I've seen Orlando Bloom in other movies. He can act. I think it's meant, his stoicism is meant, really, Scott. I think it's intentional, and I think it's a part of like, maybe like a depression, and I can't. You often hear sometimes when people are depressed, it's like, I never knew he was depressed, or like, oh yeah, the most saddest people in the world smile the brightest, or you know, or joke the most. Like, I never knew. Like, you do hear that a lot, but I feel like that's not always the case. As someone who myself has been depressed, and in fact, a while ago, first time I felt depression and suicidal thoughts was back in 2022, and you know, it's been, like I said, these past 5 years have not been kind to me. Even to now, things aren't so well. Even as I speak, my house is literally being torn down around me, and there's been a lot of cause for sorrow. And a few weeks ago, just after so many years of things not going my way in life, I kind of fell into another depressive episode, where I did fall into this depressive episode, and I kind of gave up on hope. I'm like, dude, things never get better. It just keeps going, and then it's just like, when I think things are finally gonna change, it just will continue being, you know, not well. And I kind of became a doomer, I guess, as a kid say. I kind of became very nihilistic for a bit. I was like, dude, nothing's ever gonna happen. Like, my life isn't great, and it probably never will be. And you know, I just kind of fell into this. I wouldn't allow myself to hope anymore. Like, things are never gonna change. And again, I've mentioned that I'm a big believer in Christ. I'm a worshiper of Jesus. I go to church. You know, he's my friend. He's the only friend I have nowadays. And you know, it was so rough, because like, especially like in these years, it's like, man, God, where have you been? You know, when I first experienced depression and these suicidal thoughts, and you know, things not happening, and everyone seems so happy in life, and here I am kind of like battling loneliness. And point is, I had this thing where I just kind of fell into this depressive, nihilistic thing where I'm just like, nothing's gonna happen. I gave up, in a sense. And this was a few weeks ago. Well, at the time of this recording, when it comes out, it'll be May, but this was back in March. And you know, I was kind of like Bailey, and when I was depressed, I wasn't expressive. I was incredibly unemotive. Like, I don't hide it. I was just very stoic, very quiet. I think the only emotion that I would be quick to show was probably anger or annoyance, but for the most part, incredibly more aloof, more detached, not really smiling or even bothered to like show emotion or even pretend. It's just like, whatever, you know? And I feel like Balian has kind of shown that at times a lot in this film. And he's only kind of starting to show a bit more as he's kind of connecting with like Sybil and stuff. You kind of see him now getting out of that, and you know, I've gotten out of my depressive episode. I'm not feeling that anymore, and it took a real move, what I believe, a move from God, and you know, through a talk with my mother that helped me really reconnect. And again, I'm doing fine now. I'm like not depressed. I'm not feeling that anymore. And I'm feeling very of sound mind again. But it took what I would call a miracle. And for the first time in 5 years, what I would consider God for once answering me, even if it be through someone else. And that was, but before that, I was kind of like Bailey, and like, yo, God's silent. You know, and I feel like he's battling that silence, because he mentioned that before. He's like, I pray I don't hear God, you know, I don't feel him. And he seems like someone trying to find meaning. You know, some people, when they're down, try to find that comfort, try to find that meaning in something. And you know, like with this example of Alien, that's religion. He's trying to find God, that, what's the word I'm looking for? I keep saying meaning, or that purpose, that kind of answer, I guess, to like life. Because again, like his life's kind of been rough, and he's kind of a bit like, you know, what am I doing? And that's so relatable, because I'm like kind of there and sort of starting to crawl out. But you know, so I find Balian incredibly relatable, even to my own life journey. And I did not come into this movie expecting to relate to anybody, but you know, I guess I'm kind of maybe in a way just relating much harder, because I'm seeing parallels there. And yeah, I think maybe you can call it projecting in some ways, but so yeah, I find myself relating to him a lot, and you know, because I'm definitely seeing a lot of my own struggles in that. And I feel like the overall theme is a very biblical one, which is very fitting, of battling through fate, almost like the story of Job, someone who kind of loses everything and then is left with that question of where's God. And I feel like anyone who's religious, anyone who has this faith and walks in it, will and has gone through this a lot. You know, this exact same thing of trying to find you know, answers from God when everything is so confusing and you don't know what the heck's happening. And you know, I feel like that's what makes Balian very relatable. It's very much a very biblical-esque character, very Job-esque. He's just having a crisis of faith and trying to find that meaning and purpose and the answers to life. And you know, God, it almost feels like sometimes you're battling the reluctance or the silence of God, but you know, God isn't ever truly silent or reluctant, but in our darkest times, it really does feel like that so much, and I get that feeling a lot. And again, it took many years like these past 5 years of me going through my own crisis, and he finally answered me at my darkest hour back in March, a few weeks ago. And you know, it took a long time, but I don't know, I just really did not expect this movie to get me into this whole mindset. But I think that's why I'm really liking it. So I don't know, that's my analysis of Balian's character and why I'm kind of really liking him, and that's what I see in this character. I'm not sure if Ridley Scott intended it, or this is just all projection, or maybe just, yeah, but that's kind of how I'm reading it. And I like these movie reactions, because I can't really get like this in my normal reaction videos where I'm just watching historical wars and events, because it's, you know, everything is so black and white in actual history, and the facts are just the facts, and I'll get them wrong and I'll get called out in the comments for if I don't know or whatever. But you know, that's why I kind of like these historical movies, because there's always a bit of fiction even in the most historically accurate movie, so it allows me to kind of go into English major mode. I graduated with my bachelor's in English, so and I'm very good at reading deeply into things like movies and novels, probably more than it's intended. But I do like kind of getting into this mode, this over-analysis mode, even if I'm completely wrong. But it's still fun. I have fun with this. So yeah, back to the movie. They realize how bad this is, not only because the kid has leprosy, awful enough, but again, like, as much as Chad as the as Baldwin was, he still did die young, and he accomplished so much in his short life. But again, he died young, and that's the tragedy of all of it. If only he hadn't been cursed, how much more years of stability could Jerusalem have had, right? If he hadn't been cursed with leprosy. And I mean cursed, like, not in a legit way, like God struck him or anything. I mean, like, you know, like when you're cursed with, like, cancer or something. just so we're clear. And it's my poetic way of saying that, but if he hadn't caught it and all. And, yeah, and that's the thing, like, if they hear again, right, that this new guy, this new Baldwin, who may not even be as good as the preceding Baldwin, is leprosy, they all know he ain't long for the world, which means that either way, everything is screwed, the stability of the kingdom, everyone pricing this kid as weak, and now also a leper, like, that's just bad. And again, how long his life is now, right? Just this creates such an awful, disastrous situation for everyone. Holy crap. And that's like her kid too. Like that's the worst part, right? Like she had to watch her brother suffer and live and die, like a parent's worst nightmare, right? To see their kid now, she's gonna have to see the same thing through her own kid, like, oh, that sucks so hard, dude.
Jerusalem is dead, Tiberius. No kingdom is worth my son alive in hell. I will go to hell instead.
Ma fille, c'est le jardin qui recommence.
Wait. Oh boy, holy crap. Yeah, I think she, like, murdered him. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, I don't know. I just need a second to collect my thoughts. Okay. That's such an awful situation to be put in, right? And then it's like, I get out the line, I'll go to hell instead. Because she will put him out of his misery. I guess it's the ethics of all that. I don't know how old that kid is, but it's the ethics now. I'm wondering, like, of committing of that. It's like, on one hand, sparing the kid the suffering that he will have to have in leprosy, but then again, without that input from the kid. I know he's a child, but like still, like, if he wants to live or not. I mean, oh boy, oh that's such a I can get where her mind is and where it's coming from, but that's such a complex situation with so much ethics. If I were in that situation, I mean, I don't think I'd do it, but like, holy crap, I can see where some people who, yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it, bro. I just couldn't, but I could see. Oh my gosh, guys, yeah, that's probably that moved me. Holy crap. Oh, they're there to kill him, yeah. Ooh. Ooh, snap. Got it. You know, I've seen some of those videos about how, like, medieval knights fought, And that's actually one of the ways I heard that, like, knights would carry daggers, so they got into melee with another knight. Obviously, you know, they're all fully armored, but there are weak spots like the eye slits or underneath the neck around there. So they would while on top or pinning their enemy, they would quickly grab a dagger and try to quickly aim for one of those weak spots. And I like that they showed that Balian doing that, because that's actually really like how knights would dispatch each other in close range like that when they're basically brawling. What a wild assassination attempt in broad daylight with like 3 fully armored knights against 1 unarmored man. And they couldn't get... No, dude, no wonder Jerusalem fell. These are the knights they were producing. They couldn't be one unarmored man. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find some levity right now for myself, because yeah, after the preceding scene, this got too heavy for me. This is getting too heavy for me. I need to joke around a bit more to make myself like kind of forget what we just witnessed.
I, Sibylla, by the grace of the Holy Spirit, choose as king Guy de Lusignan, the man who's been my husband. With the help of God, he will rule his people well.
Long live the king in prosperity.
Oh my gosh.
I am what I am. Someone has to be.
Oh my gosh, all the war crimes. Oh man, war crimes in live action. After hearing so many about this from all the reaction videos to war that I see, it is a bit different now to see it more up close and personal, or at least a portrayal of them, because yeah, they're all awful. Holy crap.
Salah-ad-Din's sister.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Salah-ad-Din Aghi.
I know.
The Sultan demands the return of his sister's body, the heads of those responsible, and the surrender of Jerusalem. What answer do you return to Salah ad-Din?
This.
Oh my gosh. Oh, what a complete disaster. Oh my gosh. Oh, if war is what you want, it's what you'll get.
No. If you must have war, this army cannot move away from water. And the city left defenseless.
When I wish a blacksmith to advise me, or I will tell him.
Salah-ad-Din wants you to come out. He is waiting for you to make that mistake. He knows his man.
We should meet the enemies of God.
And that's exactly what happened in real life too. Are they gonna show the Battle of Hadin? Because that would be incredibly awesome if they did, because it is Saladin's masterpiece. It is his ultimate triumph. I mean, no, actually, in Jerusalem is, but you know, I think on the battlefield, like in a battle, it is his ultimate triumph. So yeah, if they show it, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, I'm gonna kind of geek out for a bit.
My order is with the army.
You go to certain death.
All death is certain. I shall tell your father what I've seen you become.
What a bro. Literally, this man's guardian angel in some ways.
Save the people from what I've done.
I will.
What an interesting character she is. Like, that whole thing, like, I'm still kind of, like, not over the whole, like, taking out your own kid, but, like, again, it's just, like, it really makes you think, like, very tragic, but, like, I don't know, I just can't find the words to describe it. But tragic, yet understandable. I don't personally condone murdering your kid. Like I said, I wouldn't have done it, but like I get it, like, right, if you found out, like, saw that, like, I understand, it's like, it's tragic, the whole thing, right? It's not like, it wasn't a malicious act, it was, you know, in their mind, very, you know, if anything, kind, but, yeah, the whole thing's just tragic. Oh boy, oh, here we are. Yeah, we're getting to the Battle of Haddon and, like, the circumstances that surrounded it. I'll let more play out, but, like, I do want to talk about it for a brief minute. Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, that battle is hilarious of what happened, because I sometimes hesitate to call it a battle where Saladin crushed Guy, because in real life, it's more of a one-sided slaughter. The Christians essentially, like to summarize it really, let me really put it oversimplified. They went out to go and try to fight him, right? Because they were all zealous and stuff, like, yeah, we'll really get him. And the thing is that they traveled, and like you see, yeah, so like the Battle of Haddon, essentially, the Christians go off to try to fight them, and then like like I said, it's not so much a battle as I kind of describe it as a one-sided slaughter, because essentially they kind of wear themselves out like it's depicted in the movie, like they're thirsty, they're in the heat, it's hot, it's awful, and then like Saladin, I believe, uses horse archers and like long-range skirmishers. So while they're marching, they're being harassed by this enemy, like horse archers, and they can't get them. So they just have to take the constant attacks, the ranged attacks of the enemy from Saladin, without any way of retaliating. And then they manage to try to find their way to a source of water, but Saladin once again blocks them from getting to it, and so they're thirsty in the heat, have been kind of weakened, softened up by, you know, the constant attacks as they were traveling, and then it just ends up just it really is just a testament of the brashness and the incompetence of the Crusader leaders that they managed to get themselves straight into Saladin's hands and trap, and but by being way too hasty. So I feel like, yeah, they obviously didn't show it, but I wanted to kind of explain for those of you who want to know how that battle kind of went. It's hilarious. And then they just give up, you know. It is like, I sometimes joke around like, dude, that wasn't a battle, that was a slaughter, straight up. It's Saladin's masterpiece. That's like that's just one of his best W's ever. Offering him ice.
I drink water for what it is.
Oh yeah, this is, I really like this, because I think in real life this kind of gesture happened to Guy. Was, you know, the king and whatnot, so Saladin treated him with respect, you know, because Saladin was very respectful towards his enemies, and Guy did hand it over, but I think Saladin said he handed it to Guy, not this other guy, and then he actually ends up killing the other guy for crimes that he did. And yeah, he kept Guy alive because obviously he's a king, and you know, it was more of a respect thing due to his position.
I did not give the cup to you.
Yes.
No.
Hardcore.
A king does not kill a king.
Mm-hmm.
Were you not close enough to a great king to learn by his example?
Dang. Hardcore, shots fired.
No. They're here.
My goodness, holy crap.
No Muslim of the great army now coming against us was born when this city was lost. We fight over an offense we did not give, against those who were not alive to be offended.
That's an interesting point. I guess what the sins of the father falling upon the son kind of idea. Very interesting.
We defend this city, not to protect these stones, but the people living within these walls.
How are we to defend Jerusalem without knights? We have no knights!
Truly. Kneel.
He's just gonna knight everybody.
Every man at arms, all capable of bearing them. Kneel!
Oh my gosh, mass knighthood. He's gonna be like, everyone is now a knight. Oh, that's one way to solve your problem.
On your knees! Be without fear in the face of your enemies. Be brave and upright that God may love thee. Speak the truth, even if it leads to your death. Safeguard the helpless. That is your oath. And that is so you remember it. Rise a knight! Rise a knight!
I love the callback.
Who do you think you are? Will you alter the world? Doesn't making a man a knight make him a better fighter?
Yes.
Dang. My goodness, holy crap. You gotta think of how terrifying it would be to be besieged and bombarded. Like, again, I always thought, like, sieges were, like, the worst of war. Like, all war sucks, but, like, sieges in particular, being trapped in one, you're essentially just, like, unless you have any hope of relief, you're essentially gonna either be starved, or, like, if they get in, usually kind of massacred or killed. That was usually the custom a lot of times in sieges. You know, most people in the walls would get killed, so it's like some of the most bleakest moments. And like, oh my gosh, what the... Yo, I'm sorry about that. So yeah, like, and I kind of like this, because like the tone is really dire. I think the direness of the situation is being conveyed incredibly well at the moment. And I always kind of wondered how, like, awful it must be when you know, like, your kingdom, like, the kingdom of Jerusalem, which has been, you know, which was established a long time ago, like, what, over a century or whatnot? Like, it's about to fall. Like, I always kind of wondered how dire, intense a situation. Like, when you think of, like, the fall of kingdoms or empires, like Rome, it's like, wow, something that's been around forever, and now it's just, we all know it's gone. Like, it's not gonna exist anymore. It really is just... I can only imagine the dread and despair that could easily encompass such a... you know, situation. Like, the atmosphere must be heavy. Oh my gosh. Dude, I'm telling you, the scope is insane. And after learning so much about sieges, it's really cool to see a live-action siege. And just the scale and how, like, unnerving it would be. To see all those siege towers, that army just approaching your walls. Like, the perspective is quite honestly very terrifying. Oh boy. Look at that, my goodness. Ooh, my goodness. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Oh heck no. Oh my goodness, holy crap, bro. It reminds me when I'm playing Total War Rome 2 and like things happen like that. Like sieges, especially attacking, are hard. Like I actually do like siege defense because I just have a bunch of phalanx units I position in areas. But like this kind of reminds me of my last siege where they had artillery with it. They blasted down my walls, but it's okay because we had like anytime they try to get through like the front door, like oil would like fall and then like kill a bunch of people. Like bro, sieges are so brutal. Holy crap. Like, I'm really happy they're capturing that. Yeah, they got a foothold in the city already. Ooh. Oh. Oh! Oh my god! Oh! Oh! It's like a domino! Dude, this is great. This is like the best depiction of a siege I've ever seen in my life. Granted, I can't think of many movies where I've seen sieges, but either way, like still, top 5, even if I can't think of any at the moment. Like, I think it captures the mood, the scope perfectly. Like, that's so wild. So it's like, I respect this. I like the cut of your GIF, kid. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is the make it or break it, right? Because the wall has fallen. So, wow. These shots are amazing. Oh, Parley?
Will you yield the city?
Before I lose it, I will burn it to the ground. Your holy places, ours, every last thing in Jerusalem that drives men mad.
I wonder if it would not be better if you did.
You offer terms, I ask none.
I will give every soul safe conduct to Christian lands. Every soul. The women, the children, the old, and all your knights and soldiers, and your queen. Your king, such as he is, I leave to you, and what God will make of him. No one will be harmed. I swear to God.
The Christians butchered every Muslim within the walls when they took this city.
I am not those men. I am Salahuddin. Salahuddin.
He's so cool. Yo, Saladin and Baldwin just like stole the entire movie. They're just both like perfectly portrayed. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like they're just the best character. Like yeah, portrayals. You know, of this entire film. And again, like a great deal, right? Just you can all leave like no butchery. And again, there's a reason why a lot of Saladin's enemies like respected him, because he really was like, especially for the time period, like like the medieval era, just very yeah, like honorable, you know. He had a lot, he had like nobility to him.
Then under these terms I surrender Jerusalem. What is Jerusalem worth?
Nothing. Everything.
Ain't that the truth?
Decide not to be a queen, and I will come to you.
You're gonna be a peasant like the rest of us, lady.
The perfect knight. Is that what you think you are, is it?
Holy crap. He's using the stance.
When you rise again, if you rise, rise a knight.
Oh my gosh, bars. There are some really great lines in this movie. Honestly, like very quotable.
A queen never walks. And yet you are walking.
And so he went back to where it all began.
We crusade to recover the kingdom of Jerusalem.
We come by this road to find Balian, who was defender of Jerusalem.
I am the blacksmith.
And I am the King of England.
I am the blacksmith.
Yeah, I think he's done with the crusading now. But it's cool to see Richard the Lionheart. Again, like Richard Lionheart, I really like his like relationship with Saladin, because they were like rivals, but like they ended up really liking each other. Like especially Richard ended up really liking Saladin, and like the whole Third Crusade is such a cool thing, mainly between those two, and their dynamic. So it's really cool to see Richard and have a little scene here at the end. The King Richard the Lionheart went on to the Holy Land and crusaded for 3 years. His struggle to regain Jerusalem ended in an uneasy truce with Saladin. Nearly 1,000 years later, peace in the kingdom of heaven remains elusive. Boy, ain't that the truth. It's 2026, yeah, Yeah, peace, hey. Does not seem like it's coming around anytime soon. So, yeah, this was my thoughts. It really did live up to the hype. It was great. And you know, I was kind of worried because I had heard critiques about the film, like, oh, it's very anti-Christian and stuff like that, and you know, it was probably the critique of the theatrical cut. I've never seen the theatrical cut. I just heard it's like one of the worst movies of all time. But it's like the complete 180 though. I think this is the director's cut that I saw. So, I feel like yeah, those critiques probably were for the theatrical cut, because I feel like Ridley Scott really did captured the nuance of religion really well. That's something I really like, showing that things aren't so black and white. Like, you know, between you have some great Christians like Baldwin, Balion's friend, Tiberius, and you have some really crappy Christians like Guy, for example. And then on the other side, you definitely see the bits of that on the same for the Muslim side, you know. And I think like I heard some critiques like, oh, you know, I think it's because when this came out, there were still a lot of things going on with the US and the Middle East. So, you know, maybe Ridley Scott's portrayal of how incredibly respectful he was towards them, which I love, by the way, probably wasn't taken well at the time, mainly because of the you know, conflicts going on there. But I feel like I feel like, yeah, the Muslims didn't get the same attention because this was all about the Christian side, but you definitely saw the tension in Saladin's camp, I think, and you can infer that, yeah, things weren't a completely hunky-dory there either. But I really liked it. I liked his, you know, is it historically accurate? I'm not really, but like, I don't mind, like I said, I don't mind if a movie's not historically accurate. As long as it's a good movie, I'm cool with it. And like, this was a good movie, and I really liked the way I still felt like it was respectful. Like, you know, I often rag on Ridley Scott for the Napoleon movie, because I think it just wasn't a good movie, you know, and it wasn't respectful. It was like a spiteful movie meant to like mock and ridicule Napoleon and the era. That's why I think I had I still do not like it, but like here you see that I feel like it's overall respectful, and you know, he captured the nuance, and he managed to make really cool portrayals of historical characters like Baldwin, Say No More, Saladin, beyond respectful. He could have easily went full-on Christian bashing or, you know, Muslim bashing, considering that the time when this movie came out, back in 2005, and he didn't go with either. I think he captured the nuance well, and there are times where you see like things aren't so black and white, like with the politics, like, you know, like Balian and getting involved with the potential assassination of Guy. Even Baldwin was like, oh, we could do it, so, you know, like showing the grayness, and or like Sibylla killing her kid, which again, you know, that I feel like you could, that's like the scene that made me like, oh snap, like I don't know how to respond or even talk about it even now. And I just feel like this movie definitely captures the nuance, the complexity, and the themes of like religion, and, you know, at what point, you know, does religion bleed with politics, and what are the ethics of things, and, you know, kind of that whole, how do we interpret God's will? Because that's the thing that came up, right? God wills it to justify things we want, or to actually do the right thing. It's so amazing. And this is such a great thing that reminds me that Ridley Scott truly is a legendary filmmaker. And again, like, when I've mentioned him throughout my channel's history, it's usually in a very negative light with the Napoleon movie. But like, it shows that he is capable of achieving you know, really great historically based films. And I feel like this is probably the ultimate testament of that. That and I was gonna say Gladiator. The Gladiator is definitely also not historically accurate, but you get it. Just great movies. And I really just enjoyed that. I think he captured the scale, the situation really well. And I'm trying to think of what I didn't like about it. Or any critiques I have. To be honest, no. I'm not really a big movie guy. I actually don't watch movies or shows. The only time I watch a movie or a show is when I make a YouTube video nowadays. All my entertainment, I just spend hours on YouTube. I just watch YouTube videos all day. That's my source of entertainment. I don't have any streaming services or movies. I don't go to the theaters. So, yeah, the only time I watch movies or shows are on this channel for a video. So I'm not gonna pretend I'm some expert, but I do really like, I think it's called cinematography. It's the way things look. Ridley Scott movies always look like they capture the movie vibe. Like, you know, they look grand, they look epic, they look, you know, amazing, and just the shots, the scale, everything looks beautiful, you know. And I feel like the aesthetic and the tone are incredibly great. Especially it kind of has this like kind of beautifully haunting vibe to it, because it is a pretty heavy thing, you know, between Balion's character and what he's going through, and also just because this is like the final days of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. And I kind of like at the end that through all that bleakness, you kind of see a lot more sunshine and color, because it is like things are finally turning around. And I really enjoyed it, you know. And, you know, I'm a Christian. I'm a big Christian, a big believer in Christ. I go to church and read my Bible every day and pray all the time. And, you know, I feel like there's so much religious ideas and themes that I also personally found fascinating and that I really enjoyed kind of talking about, and my own little interpretations of things, especially with Balion's character. And overall, I think that, like I said, I don't need a movie to be historically accurate, but I do need it to be historically respectful. And I do feel like Ridley Scott was respectful a lot towards religion in this movie and towards the time period, and showed just the complexities that real life has with situations like these. Not everything is black and white. And again, this is just a really great, this was a really great movie, and I definitely see the hype of the director's cut now. You know, maybe we should just, I was thinking of like reacting to like the Napoleon 2023 movie, but maybe I shouldn't, because I'm afraid the 180, that if I did a reaction to that, like this movie, I'm like praising him, I'm like, really, Scott, you did it, this is a masterpiece. And in the 180, that would be like, dude, what the fuck? What happened, you know? I might want to leave it alone. Let's leave this journey with Scott on a good note. So I'll probably not touch that movie unless people want me to. But overall, yeah, this was a wonderful experience, and I'm glad to have watched it. And you know, again, like, the thing is with long videos, I don't really like it. As you could probably tell throughout this reaction, I cut it through several days because I could not do it in one sitting. Long movies or videos are often, like, worrisome to me because I can't really sustain energy for that long through a reaction. That's why I always kind of preferred short videos, or if I find a way to cut it into pieces, I will. But this was such a great experience that it's almost like I didn't notice the time. Like, the time flew when I did react to these parts for me. And I enjoyed every step of the way. I was invested. I wasn't bored ever. I was kind of constantly thinking and really pondering this film. So I have to say I think that's a great, me personally, that's a great sign that I enjoyed something. It passed the time, and the time passed. I'm like thinking about it, and I have a fondness for it. And I'll probably be watching it again in my own time soon. So again, fantastic film. Amazing. I loved every minute of it. And I guess if I'm gonna have to give it a score, Sometimes I use letters, sometimes I use numbers. I'll use letters. I like letters personally a bit more. I'm gonna give this an A. An A personally, because I really liked it. And yeah, well, I'm gonna end the reaction here because I'm gonna have to get to editing this down for YouTube. So that's usually the most stressful part of these things. So yeah, I'll end it here and I'll say this was really enjoyable and God bless you all.